What is up, everyone? This is Reality Room Podcast, and today we're going to be talking about Big Brother All-Stars episodes 1 to 4. Very anticlimactic, I think, eviction, because everyone was so Team Keisha all the way. I was rooting for Keisha to make it pretty far, but, we're going to talk about that, her decisions this week. But before we do that, we have a very special guest today. We got Kahlen, is that how you pronounce your name?
Kahlen Barry.
Kahlen Barry. We got Kahlen Barry, big super fan of Big Brother from Sequester 2.0. If you haven't watched it, go on Sequester Access on YouTube. All the episodes are there. Personally, his season is the best, but don't tell anyone else. But his season is really good. You can watch him on episodes 1 to 6, I think. Do you know which episode you got evicted from?
I think I went home episode 4. I'm not sure. I think I went home episode 4, girl.
All right. So you can catch him on there. But we're going to talk about the episodes starting from the beginning. Julie announces that we're going to have an all-star season. She briefly mentions that we don't know who they are, but it's been revealed on Twitter what they are, who they are. And then they get divided into 4 groups coming into the house, which I thought was very interesting. They don't really do this on Big Brother a lot. They don't just start off with a live HOH competition like that. So I thought that was interesting. How did you feel about the groups that went in? I thought it was fair when it was 2 groups of male, 2 groups of female. What are your thoughts on that?
I thought that threw me off. I'm not gonna lie. That competition, I was so confused. I was what are they trying to do? Because at first I didn't even understand. They were you're gonna go on to participate in the HOH comp. I was isn't this the HOH comp? I was kind of thrown off. But as far as the groupings and stuff goes, I feel I think it was decently fair, to be honest. But I was surprised that they did that whole crate shifty thing during a live show. That could have went wrong. Somebody could have not have won it all. Just standing there for 30 minutes.
But also when she reveals that, she says that there's a certain amount of time that you have to do it. So I think it was 3 minutes or something like that. And
what if nobody wins?
You think there's 60 people, one of them is going to win it. But there, definitely more than one person was going to win that.
Yeah.
So they would go into the part 2 of the HOH, which is really interesting. So we have the first group that comes in. It's Nicole Franzel, Devon, Danny, and Christmas. And Christmas wins that part. I got to say, I was a little surprised that Christmas got on this season of Big Brother. What are your thoughts on Christmas? Nothing?
I don't have many thoughts about Miss Christmas. Last season, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't care for her the most. I really didn't like how she was so cocky and arrogant. She thought she was running stuff, and I'm no, Paul's running you. And I said last season, season 19.
Season 19, yeah.
That entire season, I didn't care for it the most. So I didn't really care for Christmas that much. I didn't really understand why they brought her back. I'm not gonna lie, because why? Why her? I think maybe because she broke her leg and they wanted to give her an opportunity to play without that. But other than that, I didn't obviously I don't know her. She's probably a nice girl, but I just didn't I didn't really care for her on the cast. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. A lot of my friends who do Reality Room podcasts with me said that they brought Christmas back into the game because she broke her foot. They wanted to give her another chance. Mm-hmm. They didn't want to make a big deal about it. So they have Christmas representing season 19, which they probably would have brought Paul and Josh back, but I guess they got tested for COVID and it was positive. But also,
I remember seeing Josh tested positive, but Paul tested positive as well, and they were going to bring him back. That's
a rumor that's going on that Paul tested positive, but I don't really know if that's true or not. He said that he didn't really want to go on the show, but
I would have liked to see him, as much as I really don't care for Paul at all. Oh my God, I can't stand that man on the show. I definitely think he deserved to play, and especially with other really good players, because I almost feel the season he was on 19, it was just a whole bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah,
I want to see him play with somebody like Janelle, you know what I mean, and how he would hold himself in a situation like that. But I guess we didn't get that, but that would have been nice, honestly. I would like
it's so weird. The season is so weird. there's no real sides to the season. It just seems like everyone is like in like weird voting blocks and like they have different relationships with each other, and it kind of makes the live feeds interesting to see.
It does, but also like it makes it different than most seasons because I'm noticing like everybody's targeting everybody versus like, there's usually like one or two targets the first week. They know who they're gonna get out.
Yeah.
It's just everybody targeting everybody. And then you have like Nicole A, where she's actually lucky that she's more of a newbie from the last season because nobody's targeting her. She's kind of just able to sit there in a good position. And I think everyone should be watching out for her because I think she's going to fly under the radar for a long time and she's going to get very far just because she doesn't know as many people and she's not as connected. And that might actually be something that's good for her.
Yeah, I agree with that. I haven't seen her on season 21. I've heard things. I know she made it to the final 3. I also heard that she kind of made some bad decisions, like towards the end of the game.
Yeah,
but
I didn't watch the whole season 21, but I heard that she's really like was a fan favorite. Did she win? I think she won fan favorite.
Yeah,
right?
she won fan favorite. Yeah, from what I know. Yeah, she won fan favorite. All right, so Cody and Memphis win.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas wins. Ian wins. Nicole A wins, and there might be someone else that might have won, but I'm not too sure. And then they go into the second part of this HOH competition, which they have to like basically run through like an obstacle and not fall off faster than anyone else.
Yeah.
And Memphis goes first. He has like a pretty good time. It's like a minute and 20 seconds. And then Cody goes and he does it in 25 seconds.
There was no way anyone was beating him after he did that. And I remember being like, how was that even like possible, like humanly? Like I didn't even like. Didn't he fall like once?
He fell once, yeah, but he just knew like which ones to go on. You know what I mean?
That's just so weird to me that like he was so that's luck. That's straight up luck. But I don't know why he wanted to win that competition. Like that, I'm sure we'll talk about that. But I don't understand why he wanted to win the first HOH. That's so weird to me that he would. Like he's already a target. Everyone already kind of sees him the way that he played with Derek. Why would you want to do that again?
Yeah, we'll get into it because he does explain that to Julie Chen after he wins the HOH, which we're going to get into right now. Cody wins the HOH. He is talked to Julie Chen in the diary room. Julie Chen asks why did he win the first HOH? And then Cody says there's a bunch of people that he hasn't talked to, like Keisha, Keisha, possibly like Kevin too. Like there's just a bunch of people that he hasn't talked to, and winning the first HOH was, I guess I would think at this point is a good decision because he doesn't know all these people.
That is true. I don't know. I feel like it's just me, but like, do a lot of these like macho men come in here and it's like they just almost can't resist.
Yeah.
In the first HOH, like it just feels like they need to prove something. Like that's just like what it comes off to me. Like, why do you need to win the HOH so bad? Like I get like the points that you just said, but it's also like I personally don't think he would have been the first target necessarily. But then again, I don't know. He doesn't know everybody. He doesn't know where their head's at. So I guess that's a fair point.
Yeah, he probably was like a little skeptical with like Nicole A and Ian and maybe Memphis too. Especially Julie Chen asking that awkward question to like both Memphis and Cody, like which alliance do you think is better? Like obviously they're gonna say their own alliance.
Wasn't Memphis coming for Cody a little bit in his like opening intro? I remember him saying something about like Cody and Derek or something like that. Like
and like in those like opening packages.
Yeah, I remember that, and I remember being like, "Ooh, is he gonna come for Cody?" But then, wasn't expecting what happened.
Yeah. All right. So, Julie Chen talks about this new twist because there's always another twist like in the middle of the HOH, the safety suite competition. So anyone that goes into, they can go into the safety suite, but they can only go in there once for 3 weeks. So once you go in there, you can't use your pass to go back in there again. So everyone has one. They have up to 3 weeks to use it. Now, this is the part that I got a little confused with because skipping a little bit ahead in episode 2, we know that Janelle and Keisha both go in there, but I want to know is if only one of them went in there, like, do they even play in the competition?
Yeah, that's what I was a little bit confused about too, because Also, like, two people only went, and those two people were also like obviously going to protect each other. And then when it was revealed that they get to save somebody else, I was like, they didn't
Yeah.
really need to do anything. Like, only just one person needed to win, and somebody was
And the
going
other one
to.
was gonna get saved. Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I
so that was like
thought.
weird to me. I guess that was just confusing to me. Like, I feel like now that people know that, obviously they're not going to let that happen. If they even see two people go in there that might be aligned, they're going to go in there too.
Yeah.
But that was just an interesting competition. But I will say about the safety suite that I think is really kind of cool is it's different because you almost kind of have to play strategically even around that. Like, why do you not
Yeah.
feel safe? Are you really that aligned with me? Like, I think you are. Now you're going to safety suite and you're saying, that we're good. So if I'm HOH, why are you going to the safety suite? Like, there's a lot of questions I think that'll come up in regards to that. So I think it's a good way to shake things up a little bit. And people are going to have to like be strategic about that. Even if people know they're safe, they probably need to go in there just to pretend they aren't, just so that
Right.
people don't know they're aligned with the HOH.
Yeah, especially since after this week, there's only 2 more weeks left in the safety suite. So they're either
Oh,
gonna
there's
have to
only two
go
weeks
in
left?
this week. Yeah, because there's only this week and then there's next week. Like after like these episodes, there's week 2 in Memphis's HOH and the following week.
I'm
So they
just
only,
dead that like I'm like a Big Brother super fan. Then I come here and it's like, like you just like telling me these things I didn't know, like the timing, and then this is like, damn, like was I really that off? Like was I not like that? Like,
yeah.
um,
All right.
but
So yeah, sorry to cut you off. So Cody wins the HOH. He talks about the safety suite competition. Let's jump into episode 2. We get a lot of these people. I don't know about you, but there's something about this All-Star season that it kind of reminds me of
the celebrity
like
version.
like when you see like cartoons that have like crossovers and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
like the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour. Like it's like so weird to see like all these people from these
Mm-hmm.
different seasons like that you saw like representing their season and like colliding together. It just feels
Yeah.
so weird. And we're going to get into that too with the cast later on because I'm kind of curious as to what you think about the fact that we have every person representing a season except for season 9 and 15. And we're going to get into that a
Oh
little bit
wow,
later.
I didn't even connect those dots.
Yeah, it's crazy, but
They didn't invite nobody from season 15. I don't blame them.
I
I
know,
don't
but
blame
we're gonna get into that because it is kind of like debatable as to like if they could have at least got like maybe like Helen or Alyssa
Well, maybe McCrae.
or
McCrae
McCrae.
was
Yeah,
interesting on his
McCrae,
season.
Judd.
Oh, Judd. Oh my God, no. Oh my God, I love Judd. I'm sorry, Judd. No.
I know.
Yeah,
I
bring
was.
Judd back.
Yeah. So let's. Okay. So episode 2. Janelle and Keisha are going to the safety suite. I don't know why. Keisha and Kevin felt like they were in danger, but I don't know why they didn't
Hmm.
just when that timer went, like they weren't just planted like right next to that safety suite. Like the minute that the hour was going down, they should have been right in there. Like so, at least if Janelle and Kesar were to play, like at least those two would have played as well, and one of
Yeah,
them probably could have been safe.
that is very true. I think maybe because you know how you can get paranoid in the Big Brother game. Maybe they just wanted to like not be so paranoid, and they might have thought, if I go in there, I might make myself a target, and I might not actually be one. Even though they in their gut they might have felt like they were, they might have just not been sure and didn't want to like take that risk.
Yeah. Okay. So
Wait, real quick before we proceed. Am I doing okay? Is this like how I'm supposed to? Am I supposed to be giving commentary, or am I just
no,
supposed to
this
be
is good. Yeah, this is good.
okay? I'm
You're
like,
doing
I
good.
don't.
Yeah, we're just
I'm
like
over here
briefly
like
talking
defending
about
their
it.
reactions and how they do things. I'm like, this is why they probably did that.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the first safety suite competition. Did this not look extremely easy?
Hmm.
Like it seems like it's very easy to remember. I think there was like maybe like 6 discos that
Yeah,
they could have chose
exactly.
from. Like, and it's like the easiest. Like if you take like band class, like the first thing that you play in band class is Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in
Exactly.
band class. So it's like all you have to remember is like 4 notes and where they are, and that's
Hmm.
it. And I don't know. I don't know if Janelle like purposely threw it this bad because she did it in like 14 minutes. I don't know. What are your thoughts on
You
that?
know
You
what?
think
I
Janelle
think a
threw
lot of
this?
times those comps look easier than they actually are. Maybe it's like one of those situations where like it looks really easy, but what if like some of the sounds sound very identical? I don't know. Because when I was looking, I was like, you could just tap all the things first and then just easily, do what you need to do. I was really, really confused that it was 14 minutes, but like, why would she? But then my thing is, why would she throw it? Did they know
Because
that
she
they
probably
were
thought
going
K-Star
to
was going to win. Like, she could have realized that K-Star was going to win it and
and
then
make
use it
herself
on
out like
her.
a threat and make herself?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
true.
That would be the smartest thing I would think.
Hmm.
Because when you realize, like, when K-Star wins this competition within like 7 minutes and she does it in 14, she gives it to Janelle, and Janelle's reaction's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you're giving this to me." Like, she's trying to pretend like she's not with K-Star, even though like she clearly is.
That was so obvious. But yeah, that could have been a strategy. I could see
Yeah.
that.
All right. So K-Star and Janelle are safe for the week. So Cody has to choose two new noms, and he's thinking about putting Keisha and Kevin on the block, which, to be perfectly honest, in Cody's defense, that's probably the best move. He doesn't talk to any of them. He doesn't know any of them.
They're the only ones
Um,
not aligned with somebody else from like either their season or from like
just
just
hasn't talked to them.
character.
Period. Like, doesn't know who. Like, he doesn't even know who Keisha is.
Yeah. Which Keisha's a fan favorite from what I've been seeing on Twitter. Everybody was like, no, Keisha. Like everybody really, really liked her. I didn't like watch her season fully, so I didn't
Yeah.
like, have that same vibe. Did you actually end up watching like her fully? That's
Yeah,
dancing.
I went back and I watched season 10 like a couple of years ago, and like
Hmm.
she was a good player. But the thing is with this season is that, especially with this cast, there's
Hmm.
not that many like old school. There's way more new school players than
Yes,
old school
100%.
players. Like anything below like 15, I would consider old school. So you have like
Like Janelle,
Janelle,
Kesar,
Kesar, um, Danielle,
Enzo.
Enzo,
Hmm.
Ian.
Y-
Like,
y-
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
But like the thing is, what like Danielle is like, she's like really good in the community with like the Big Brother community. Enzo is good in the Big Brother community. Like he goes to a bunch of like meet and greets and stuff like that. I met Enzo before, and yeah, he's so much older now. He looks so much different than when I met him like a couple years ago.
I'm
But
so sorry about that motorcycle outside.
it's okay. It's going fast.
Okay.
So
But,
yeah, that's the thing. I just think this is going to be an old school versus new school season.
and
It feels
also,
that way.
it's very weird because it's very clear that a lot of the new stars, before they went on the show, they probably watched the season before they got on. They probably didn't even, they don't really know the game fully. And I can tell and see the frustration within the OGs and how they feel even playing this, being like, why are y'all playing this way? It's almost like I remember Janelle said something along the lines of, and you can add this later in the episode if you want, because if it's not in like the arrangement, I remember Janelle saying something like, are why are we doing what the HOH wants?
Yeah.
Like why are we just doing what they say? Like when we can do whatever we want. I think there's like a little bit of like disconnect between the OGs and the new players because they play so differently, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's how I feel. But there's also like there's like these weird. Someone's got to make like some sort of web because like Janelle's connected to Nicole from the Amazing Race.
Hmm.
Memphis like knows Cody, and it's just like so many. Oh, and like there's a whole bunch of like things with like Nicole Franzel and Danny, Ghost and Nicole A. I don't know if you heard about that.
That made me so mad. That pissed me off. Like
Yeah.
don't even get me started about Nicole Franzel and Danny this season. I'm just gonna say I'm very disappointed. I'm not gonna front.
Yeah.
Very yes, I think it's very much mean girl behavior, and I
I'm
don't like it.
yeah, we're gonna get into that later because I have like my certain like thoughts on just like Nicole Franzel and Danny as like players and people. But
Hmm.
okay, so we found out that Cody is gonna nominate Keisha and Kevin. I mean, I feel bad for them, but not really because they also could have saved themselves at
Yeah,
least twice. They could have won the HOH and they could have won the safety suite. But they just didn't win those two competitions. So
and they could
and
have
they
won the
didn't talk
veto.
to the HOH either. So that's three things they could have done, and they just didn't do it. Um, so then we are going into episode 3 with the veto players. We have Cody, Keisha, Kevin, Ian, Enzo, and Tyler
Hmm.
playing in the veto competition. Enzo makes a deal with Cody, like ride or die all the way to the end. And then we also kind of see this with Memphis too. Like Enzo makes a deal with Cody. Memphis is in alliance with Cody. Like Cody's in a lot of
Nicole's in
alliances.
alliance with Cody.
Nicole Franzo's in alliance with Cody.
Mm-hmm. All
Um,
final twos
yeah,
too.
and then there's a big alliance with Cody, Enzo, Bay, and Day, trying to bring Danielle into. Like, there's just so many things going on with
Cody's
Cody.
gonna get wrapped up.
Yeah,
Like it's gonna happen. I think it's the same thing that's gonna happen to Tyler, and he didn't want it for this season, but it's just inevitable.
yeah, it's just interesting, but because I think Cody's smart move would be to not win HOH for a couple of weeks. I would say
Mm-hmm.
the first
I agree with
HOH
that.
I think he did a really good job this first HOH. He's no one's target. He still could play in the safety suite. And he's got almost alliance with everyone. So in case he's on the block with any other person, he probably can stay safe. So I think Cody put himself in a really good spot. So let's talk about this veto competition because they have to. This veto competition, the six contestants have to like ride a banana. It's such a weird competition. They have to ride a banana and then they have to stack a puzzle, but they have to do it in a certain amount of time. Enzo was killing this competition, but Keisha was also there too.
Yeah.
And I kind of think I want to know your opinion about this because I know the thing is like Keisha hasn't played Big Brother since season 10.
Mm-hmm.
So like I can't even imagine like the pressure that Keisha and Kevin are feeling right now, having to
Yeah.
play their first like real competition and represent their season.
Yeah. That must have been a lot of pressure, and I actually feel really bad for both of them that they were the first nominees. But like once we said like they had their chances, but I just feel like that just sucks. Like that's like the way that they like kind of got put in that position. But as
Yeah.
far as the way that POV played out, like there's some things I have questions about. Like why was Tyler trying so hard to win that veto? Like I don't know. Like he said he would never throw a competition, but it's like you're like safe. Like nobody's like gonna come for you. You're not the
Yeah.
replacement nominee. Why? Why? Like he was like playing to win. You could
Maybe
tell.
maybe also just like to win the veto competition and like not use it to like
For
almost like
Cody,
reassure Cody kind of like what Enzo did.
yeah, that makes sense actually.
Yeah.
To be like, hey, I really am with you. I'm doing what you want me to do
Yeah.
with the veto, and also to show that he has something to bring to the table. I guess.
Yeah. All right. So Enzo wins the veto. Veto meeting happens. He doesn't use the veto, and Keisha and Kevin are on the block. KK on the block. And at this moment, no one knows like who the target is. Nobody knows, and it was so weird to see like the house pick one person,
Mm-hmm.
to leave. Like, why didn't they just vote the way they wanted to vote?
Yeah,
And I
didn't
didn't really understand
that.
that.
I didn't understand that at all because it didn't make any sense, and that's like what Janelle even said. Like, why are we like why don't like usually we don't vote who the HOH wants out. Like in my season, we voted for the opposite of what the HOH wanted. I think everybody was trying to be on the same page. I think to vote with the house. I don't understand that. Vote for the person who's going to benefit your game the most and just see what happens. It's the first week. It doesn't matter.
And Cody even said too. He's like, "Listen, my job is done. Like my job is done. Enzo's job is done. Like I wanted to win HOH. I wanted to put two people that I haven't talked to. You guys as a house get to decide who you want to vote out. And what I don't understand is the votes are anonymous. Okay, the votes are anonymous. And if you have a true alliance that isn't gonna like take information and give it to someone else, like why not vote against the majority? Like no one's gonna know the way you vote anyways.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was actually shocked that nobody just like did a rogue vote just to
I
like
was waiting for that rogue vote, but
just stir stuff up. I guess nobody did.
yeah. All right, so that was basically episode 3. Episode 4, Keisha and Kevin are on the block. Keisha, gets voted out 13-0. I just want to say like a production thing because I really did like the music. I like their new soundtrack that they're using. Like they have like a new like opening soundtrack. They have like a new I think they use the ending like nomination ceremony soundtrack in like last season or something like that. I feel like they're changing some things up. They did like this really cool remix of the live eviction music tonight, which I thought was
I
cool.
didn't even notice that. I didn't notice that they did that.
Yeah, they did. It was like a mixture. It was like so cool. It was like a mixture of like quiet, like low key eviction music.
Oh wait, no, I did notice when Keisha went, like when they were like, "You're gone," like it was so intense. And
Yeah,
her face, did you see her face like when they voted her out? It felt so
yeah.
bad. She looked like she was actually shocked for some reason.
It's also just awkward too. You know what I mean? Like you get voted out, and the first thing they're telling you is to put a mask on. I mean, I feel so bad, but I mean, they have to be like so careful now.
The way that Julie was sitting across from her,
Yeah,
I was like, oh my God. It was more than 6 feet. She was like, oh, like
yeah, that was definitely
stage away
not
from
six
her.
feet. Yeah,
She wasn't testing it. Julie said, nope, they don't pay me enough. I'm going to.
yeah. So awkward interview,
Yes, very awkward.
extremely awkward. And then we get into this new HOH competition, which looked really hard to remember. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
that
know
was
what
a
the fuck
weird
was this.
competition in general.
Yeah, because it was like when she announced it, I thought it was gonna be different, like alumni,
Hmm.
and it just seemed like it was one person. Like,
Acting like
yeah,
characters.
and I was really surprised as to like everyone got like most of the questions right. Like when I was trying to do it, like I got the first question wrong. Like it just looked so hard to like remember all that stuff so fast. But
Also, the way that ended, where it was like, this is maybe bad, but like when I like play along with them when those things are happening, and when I see the majority vote one answer, one person vote the other one, I usually assume, oh, they're out next. So I thought Memphis was gone. I was so excited. I'm like, yes,
yeah,
Bailey, Davon, my
Devon, yeah,
girls are gonna get their win. And then it's like the answer is true, and
yeah.
all the people I wanted to win HOH. Down
I
the
was
toilet.
screaming. I was like, "Come on, Dave, win your first HOH."
I wanted Davon to
I
win
wanted
so
her to
fucking
win it.
bad.
Yeah, she was doing
Yeah.
so good. I was like, "Did you see her reaction?" She was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I got this right."
I know her facial expressions are just on point
Oh my
every
god,
time.
they're so. She's got to stay in for a long. I think she has a really, really good shot at winning this season.
But did you see what happened? Okay, like I don't know if we're gonna discuss this because it wasn't shown in the episodes, but it was discussed in the live feeds.
Mm-hmm.
She like is coming for Janelle.
Really?
She basically like
A
there was
lot of
like a
people are going after Janelle,
miscommunication.
though.
There was a miscommunication where basically Christmas, I guess, had told it was something like this where Christmas told Janelle that I don't remember what it was. No, Janelle told Bailey, are you gonna vote to keep Keisha because Davon's voting to keep Keisha? And it was because Davon told Christmas something like that. And then when that got back to Davon was like, I never said that to Bailey, and was like, Janelle's being a snake. Why is she being so pushy? Why is she trying so hard to like? So now there's like a little bit of mistrust between them, but I don't know for sure because a lot of people are saying that they think that Davon's playing the game like snaky right now and lying and doing all this stuff that she never did in her other seasons.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen her DR, so we don't really even know.
Yeah, and not that it really matters. I mean, at this point, it really doesn't matter anyways because, like, the house is probably going to target Janelle and Kaser very soon.
And they blamed it on Christmas anyway somehow. Like somehow.
Yeah, they just want to put it on Christmas because Christmas has nobody right now.
I'm not mad because I don't care for Christmas. So
Yeah.
I don't. If she wants to go and it keeps my girl a day longer,
Yeah.
I'm not mad about it.
All right, so Memphis wins the HOH, and that's basically how the episode ends. So let's talk about like what we think is going to happen with Memphis's HOH. Obviously, Janelle and Kaser have a really high chance of what?
They're targets for sure.
Yeah, they have a really high chance of going on the block this week. Really no one to blame but themselves because one of them could have just not played in the safety comp, played in this safety comp, and saved each other.
They can't play twice, so basically you only get to play.
Yeah, they can't play again. So
they're going up on the block, 100%.
Unless they make some sort of deal with Memphis, because Memphis, like we said before, is also old school. Like, Kaysar and Janelle can make the point to Memphis, like, hey, like, once we're gone, you might be next. He can, And then Memphis can say, like, all right, like, what can you do for me? And et cetera, et cetera. He can make some sort of deal like that. But
But I
because
think
he's
he's
so
gonna be
close to
loyal to
Cody,
Cody.
it's
Hmm.
just like, it might not go through. He might
That's
just go
kind
with
of
the
dumb
house.
though. Cody's playing Memphis, and well, I don't know. He said that was his right. That was the one that he wanted to be loyal to, right? But either way,
It doesn't matter though. That's what I'm saying. Cody cannot win HOH for a while because usually the first HOH makes a deal with the entire house, and at that point,
mhm.
you don't win it. You don't win veto. You don't like even if you voted the person out, it doesn't really matter. So like even if he like you know even if Memphis was on the block and Cody voted Memphis out, it doesn't matter because Memphis is gone from the game anyways. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? So usually the first HOH, whoever wins it gets to be safe for a really long time in the game because that first week they just make a bunch of deals. You know, usually the first
Yeah,
HOH in every season makes it far.
that is true.
We saw
But
that in Nicole season, except for season 19, but season 18 Nicole Franzel, you know, first HOH makes it all the way to the end. Season 17, James wins the first HOH, gets the final six. Final seven, my bad. Season 16, Caleb and Frankie, same shit. They both won HOH and they make it to the end. Usually that's why you really win that first HOH because statistically you get the most deals and most voting blocks at your long-term goal. So
damn, I never thought about it that way. I always thought winning the first situation is bad for your game because it makes you a threat or a target
it
if you
just
get.
depends on how you utilize it. I think Cody
Mhm.
utilizes HOH extremely well because he put up two people that nobody knew really
And nobody cared if they
and
win.
no one really cared about, and then made alliances and deals with everybody, which is what you're supposed to be doing anyways. Even with Kevin
Yeah.
too. Like he made a deal. He still made a deal with Kevin, and Kevin was one of the nominees.
Hmm.
Like so, Cody's in a really good spot. I think we're gonna see a lot of good things from Cody. Only if Janelle and Kesar, would
But do you
HOH
like
next week.
Cody? That's the question
I
because
so I like him better on this season than I did on 16.
okay.
He is definitely more challenged this season. He can.
Yeah,
There is no
100%.
Derek. There is no Derek this season.
Mm-mm.
Can't be influenced by anyone. He has to make decisions. And if he makes it far in this season, he's a
Then it's
pretty
his
good
own.
player. He's a pretty
Yeah,
good player
exactly.
then. Because
He's gonna be able to
he's
prove
playing with all
himself.
stars. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
So
definitely think this is a season for him to prove himself, and I think that's why it was good for him. Regardless, I think they did a good job in casting him. I think he was important. I think he's playing the character that we always knew that he was going to play if he did come on here.
yeah.
I'm not really surprised by what he's doing, to be honest. Like this is what I would have kind of expected out of him.
In a Cody HOH, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I think Cody right now is in a really good spot. So let's talk about like some of these other house guests really quickly before we sort of kind of wrap because we're basically done just talking about the episodes. Um, so you said before that you really weren't a big fan of like Danielle and like Nicole F. Um,
This
because they're
season.
being like this season because of the way they're treating like Nicole A.
Hmm.
And all that. So just briefly
Yeah.
talk about like Daniel and Nicole F. And like, what are your thoughts on them this game? Do you think they can make it far? Do you think?
This is the thing. Okay, so I don't like their behavior and how they're acting. Like it's like really bothering me. Like the live feeds, it's annoying. It's kind of really heartbreaking for me because I used to really love Nicole like on her first season and her second one. Also, Nicole literally went to Saginaw Valley University. That's literally in my city. That's the university of my city. She's from the same state as me. I'm pretty sure she lives like an hour away from me. So like I want to root for Nicole, you know what I'm saying? But just the way that she's behaving, like talking badly about like Nicole A for no reason, and just I mean, there's lots of rumors going around about the whole like Derek thing and her like not getting like making it so he couldn't get on. I don't know what
I
the
don't think
truth
that's
is
true.
behind
I don't
that.
even think
I
that's
think that's a
true.
rumor. Yeah, 100%. But I do think that like anytime there's smoke, there usually is fire somewhere along the line. So I think something was happening behind the scenes. I don't know what it was, but that's not the reason why I have a problem with her. I just kind of want to bring that up. But
Mhm.
Danielle, I don't like the mean girl behavior. And it's just like sad for me to see both of them, two people that I would have wanted to root for, behaving like that. But I do think, to answer your question, I think Nicole will go far because regardless of the fact, even look at the fact that she aligned herself with Cody was so smart because let's say people suspect that they're working together and put those two on the block, who's going home? Cody, not Nicole. Like
Are you
she's
sure about? I
hiding
don't know
behind.
about that.
You don't think so? Because
Mm.
I don't know. I feel like Nicole. I mean, that's not true though, because people do not like Nicole. That is true.
Yeah, a lot more people don't like Nicole than Cody. That's for sure.
But will they see her as a bigger threat? I mean, she did.
It's really
She
gonna
won.
be. It would really be like a split. Like that would be That would be like the most interesting nominees ever, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that would be like a tiebreaker, like down the line. Like right now, I kind of feel like the way the house is divided, it's so like the first like this week, next week, maybe the fourth week will be interesting. I think these 2 weeks we're gonna see a lot of. There's not going to be that many fights. It's still pretty mellow. And you also have to realize, too, I know we didn't talk about this, but this season is so much different than every other season of Big Brother because
Yeah.
they're a week behind than what a normal Big Brother week is. Because on a normal Big Brother season, the first eviction is on day like 13 or 14. Like they're basically in the house for like an extra week. So
Mm-hmm.
this time around, like Cody literally only had 2 days to decide who he was going to nominate. Not
Right.
even like a day. So like
Yeah.
they're still like in that phase. You know what I mean? Like there's like usually week, like an actual week, like I would say like week 4 is when the fights really happen. But because the evictions are happening a lot sooner than later, it's gonna be like a little mellow in the beginning. Like they're probably gonna get rid of players like Keisha, Kevin. I think Nicole A is in some trouble.
Really?
Yeah,
Hmm.
because she's really like there's like these big alliances going on, and they seem like they're extremely strong and loyal to each other. But the problem
Yeah.
with Nicole A is that she sticks out like a sore thumb. Like her
Because she's not
only real alliance is with Kevin, and that's it. Like
that.
she's got no alliance with like Enzo, Tyler, Cody.
Yeah, all of them
Like
know
they're
each
not gonna
other.
work with her.
But that is true, but I could see that benefiting her too. Like, so I think there's like a flip side of the coin where she might like not, because the thing is, you were saying that there's not going to be a lot of drama. I don't necessarily know if I agree with that. I think that there's a lot of personal drama between these people outside of the show. Janelle does not like Nicole. Nicole does not like Janelle. They're going to target each other to the ends. I think there's so many people that are already targeting each other that she can kind of like just float by while everybody picks each other off. I don't necessarily know if it's going to be mellow. I think it's going to get intense really fast and
I think
probably more than any other season.
I agree with you. I actually think that Janelle would get into like a verbal fight with someone. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think Nicole A would do it. I
No.
think Nicole F will try to get Nicole A out. I think Danny would try to get Nicole A out. I think like Enzo would try to get Nicole A out. Possibly Tyler. Davon's kind of working with Nicole A and Kevin, but Davon's
Mm-hmm.
also kind of just working like with everyone right now. She's like playing.
Yeah,
Playing. She's up
both
there.
sides.
She's up there. She's playing like a pretty good game. I think Davon should just like she's gotta relax.
She's
She's
playing
gotta
too
relax.
hard right now. She's playing too fast. She needs to like take a little bit of a break. I love Davon so much. That is my girl. One of
Yeah.
my favorite players ever. Actually, probably the favorite of all time that has ever played Big Brother because I just love her personality and I love how she is. But she needs to. She's in a good position. She built herself a good reputation in her last seasons. Everyone thinks she's trustworthy and she's honorable, and everyone wants to work with somebody like that because of the way that she played those seasons. She doesn't need to be doing all this sneaky backstabbing stuff, even though like I know she wants to play differently. She needs to be careful because she built a good name for herself, and that's a lot of the reason why people want to work with her. And she can't ruin or tarnish that this soon. Like she's not even a target right now.
Yeah. All right. So we talked about like alliances and basically the flow of how these weeks are gonna go by. I want to get into this cast because
Okay.
I've been watching a bunch of I want to know your personal opinion about this because I've watched a bunch of podcasts and they're basically talking about, I don't know if you know what's been going on, but like there's a lot of speculation and there's a lot of people that are talking about like how there's not that many minorities in the cast,
Mm-hmm.
how the casting process has to change. Like there's only like they're talking about like Robin Cass and the Big Brother cast producers, like they only have like one black person or one Asian person and all that. And the thing about the season is, I want to know your opinion about like They have
Yeah, more minorities this season. That
yeah.
is true.
There's four. I think there's four black individuals this season.
There's David, there's
Kevin.
Bailey, there's Kevin, and there's Davon. So
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that's four. But then I also know that they have, well, also Kevin is LGBT as well, so that's like some representation there.
Yeah.
I mean, my thing is, where the hell is Danielle Reyes?
I know.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
A lot of
Where is
people were
she
talking
at?
about that.
She could have been so like, especially with Davon and like Bailey and stuff. Like that'd have been so cool to see. But I think in general, Big Brother needs to do better as far as representation as a whole. Because and this is just me, and this is a
Yeah.
very serious conversation. And a lot of reasons why I stopped being like as much of a fan of Big Brother over time, and why last season I didn't finish it because it made me so upset. There's a lot of microaggressions that happen on Big Brother all the time. Like it happened with Paul and his treatment of Dominique on that season, the way that he just like targeted her for no fucking reason. The way that like everybody kind of demonizes these black people on the show and picks them off so early. I don't like that. And I think like that's obviously not always, the casting director's fault when it comes to that, but like not giving us enough representation and like giving that one black person, it's not good.
Yeah.
And I want to see a change in that. And I will say that I do like that there were more minorities this season. Were there enough? There's 16 people and there's 4 minorities.
That's it. Well, that's also because
They don't have that
they
many
also have to
minorities to begin
represent
with.
they also have to represent every single season, except for I mean they didn't represent 15 and 9, which we're gonna get into that after this. But they also need to represent like every season. A lot of people said that they called out,
Mhm.
and I think that was exactly why they brought David into this.
I'm glad they brought him. I'm really glad they brought David because I don't think it was fair. Like he literally only went out the last season because freaking Jackson wanted to, and he didn't, and maybe he doesn't realize it, but he was being very fucked up. He picked all the minorities, the 4 minorities in the house, to compete in that first competition. That is so disgusting to me. Um, I can't even begin to fathom how somebody could do that and think that that was acceptable. So I'm glad that he
Yeah.
has a chance to actually play because I think he got deprived of that on his season.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the season, like it doesn't really feel so much as like the big all stars that we were thinking of. It seems more like a second chance, especially
Yeah,
with those packages
definitely.
that they had in the beginning. Like, I wish I would have done this, or I could have been represented as a winner, a little bit better. Like, it almost seems like a second chance type of season. But I don't
Everyone has
understand why
something
they
to
would want to
prove.
do it as an all star. Yeah,
100%. And
especially David. Especially David.
especially, yeah. And I think also, like, to be honest, with COVID and everything going on, I don't think they were going to get, like, for instance, like a Dan, like Dan, like everyone thought Dan was going to be on here. I definitely thought that they would get, just like some of the more like really well known
Yeah,
masterminds that have played the show. I think Janelle was a good one. But we don't have a lot of OGs. I noticed that they didn't bring Danielle Reyes. Sorry. So I think. Do you think COVID has something to do with that
yeah.
too?
I think a
Possibly.
lot of people, some of them are have kids. Some of them didn't want to, go
Mm-hmm.
on because of COVID. They just maybe didn't want to play again. They didn't know how it was going to be or whatever. And there's a lot of reasons why some of them, didn't want to play this season. However, I will say I'm extremely surprised at the live feeds and just like all of them like interacting with each other. Like
Yeah.
I was like watching it like while I was like driving for Uber, and I was like people like David finally getting like I don't even know who David is, but like just like him talking to like Bailey and Cody and like everyone else, like he's got some really good social skills.
Oh yes.
And Bailey's got some like badass social skills.
Oh,
Like
she's a
she could
Gemini
talk.
like me. That's our thing.
Yeah.
Literally.
So yeah, I just wanted to know your opinions on that because I know that it seems like it's getting better with the minorities.
Oh, I
Um,
love the way that like this season, and maybe it's because of where we are in the world and people opening their eyes to things too. But I definitely think the minorities this season have like I'm very thankful that they're given a chance. Like nobody's being like, oh, I don't like Davon. Oh, I don't like Bailey. There's just something about her that I don't like, which is microaggression, bitch. That's called racism. Check it. But like nobody's
Yeah.
doing that. Like everybody's embracing like Bailey and Davon and David and Kevin with open arms. So I am really, really happy that, you know, it does seem like the dynamic in the house is just less ignorant, maybe.
Yeah.
Like maybe because it is all stars though. Most of these people who on here like have a reputation. There's fans that like them. They, you know, they have a career even outside of like being on the season because they're fan favorites. And so I'm pretty sure they just in general, they're kind of like influencers in a way.
Yeah.
So they're a lot more educated on the world and a lot more in touch with a lot of things. And I think that's why this season, maybe that's why that's not as prevalent because they're not just choosing these random bumfuck ignorant people to come on the show and then, you know, but then I don't want to speak too soon though, because you never know. You never know what could happen.
Yeah. All right. So that wraps up this episode recap. I think I did a pretty good job covering the basics. So before we end this episode podcast, I want to talk to you about a couple of things. Like, so how did you get involved with Big Brother? What was the first season that you started watching, and how did you evolve from watching it as a super fan and moving forward from it?
Okay, so interestingly enough, the first season I watched at Big Brother was season 12. Well, technically the first season I watched, the first episode I watched was season 16, episode 1. And this is going to sound so funny, but the only reason I watched it is because Ariana Grande's brother, Frankie, was on there and I was a huge fan of Ariana. So I watched that. But then I was like, you know what? I want to watch a full season. So I watched season 12. And that is when I first got into it. Rachel Riley, I loved her on that season. You know what I think? I feel so bad because like I still like Rachel and stuff, but I'll say that like my taste has evolved, and now I look back at Rachel Riley on season 12, and I'm like, oh my god, you were terrible, like,
Yeah.
um, terrible, and I feel so bad, but it's like maybe that's the maturity because I was so young then, but now like I'm a lot older, but that's how I really started getting into Big Brother. And then after season 12, I, you know, watched season 16, I watched season 15, I went back and watched all the seasons and then continued to watch it, you know, every summer as it aired. Um, but I've always wanted to be on Big Brother. Like that was like a bucket list thing for me at some point in time where it's like,
Have you ever applied?
I haven't. I just turned 21.
Oh, okay.
Just turned 21. So I never was able to, but who knows? Maybe
I don't know with this COVID stuff. Who knows?
who knows if we're even gonna get a next season?
Yeah. All right. That's good to know. So also you were on Audrey's live action Sequester season 2.
Yes.
Talk to us about that. How did you know about Sequester first? Because there was the online version
Mhm.
and then the live action version. So talk to us about like how did you know about this? How did you get involved with it? What are your thoughts on it? How do you see it growing as a future? Just talk about that.
Well, I actually knew about Sequester for a long time because when season 17 aired, Audrey was one of my favorite contestants. So I knew like after, you know, it was all over and said and done, like I had followed her on her other socials and I saw that she was doing it. So I was familiar with it. I wasn't like super familiar with it, but I knew that that was a project that she did. But then, you know, my friend CJ, who was on season 2 as well as me, she told me like Sequester's doing a live action version. They already did season 1. You should audition. And I was like, oh, okay. I'll audition. Sorry. I'll audition. And then we ended up getting on. And I think that's kind of how that all started. But did you want me to talk about my experience on the show?
Yeah, you could just talk about like the casting process and your experience on it, and what are your thoughts on it now and how it's going to grow like in the future?
So when I was on it, well, the casting process of getting on it, it was interesting. I guess like they just like had a thing online asking you like how you'd play the game. I answered that. Then I did like a Skype interview with Audrey and some other members of production. And then I got on. I really loved my experience on Sequester as far as like I met so many great people. Like some of the people from that show I still like talk to so much. Like Hannah that's my girl. Like I love her to death. It's insane. Also CJ and me knew each other before. Just everybody on that show I still love so much. And it was a like really cool experience to get to play something like that because it was very unique. I think Sequester is going to grow a lot. I think Audrey really knows what she's doing. I think she's so smart, and just I still see every day like the Sequester minis and stuff that happens with her. And I think that it's going to do really well. Like it's online, people are watching it, it's accessible. And I hope, to see it continue to evolve and become even bigger. Hopefully it gets picked up by a network or something. That'd be really, really cool to see happen.
All right. Yeah, that sounds cool. I watched you on your season. It's the editing is really it's I gotta say it's probably a little bit better than some seasons of Big Brother.
Oh,
For sure. For
100,
sure.
100%. It was shocking, the ending for sure too. But I mean, Kim, I love Kim. Kim
Yeah.
won, go Kim. I think she was very underestimated on the show. Even when we were there, nobody thought Kim was going to be out here, like in these streets. But she pulled it. She was the oldest one in the house, and she said, "Nope, you're not gonna stop me." And she made it to the end, and she won.
All right. Yeah, that sounds cool. Um, all right, so we're gonna end this episode. Is there anything that you want to say before we wrap this up?
Uh, Go follow me on Twitter at Kahlen Barry. You can see my tweets about Big Brother. I'm constantly tweeting about things from the show that either annoy. Most times it's things that annoy me. I'm not gonna lie. But I also make YouTube videos. Go subscribe to me over there if you're into like astrology or social commentary. And I make music, so you can go stream my songs if you want.
Yeah, all this stuff is going to be down below in the link. You guys can follow him on the link to his Twitter and his YouTube. And thank you so much for joining us on this episode recap. We really appreciate the super fans coming on, talking about the episode, talking about how they got involved, watching Big Brother, and just your charismatic experience with it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on. It was really, really fun. If you ever want to like invite me to something else, I'm always here to talk about Big Brother anytime. So
Yeah, we're planning on doing a bunch of different shows later on. Maybe the second season of Love is Blind. I don't know. That show
I
is
have not
crazy.
watched that show
That show
yet,
is crazy.
but maybe I should because I heard it's crazy. Yeah, I heard it was crazy.
Yeah. All right. So that wraps up this episode. Thank you so much, Colin, for joining
Thank you.
us. We will be doing another recap episode, I believe, next Thursday again, covering episodes 5 to 7. And yeah, that's it. Until next time, guys, take care.